Go ahead.
The Molly Patriot here. We bring you history so you can sit on your couch and eat potato chips and watch stupid stuff on TikTok. But if you're on YouTube right now, you can have a good time. This is one of the original furnaces, and I believe it might have been the first furnace on the west side of the Blueridge. If it wasn't, it was in that first iterations of iron furnaces, and George Washington was involved in this. So right now we're standing at approximately where the beginning of a covered bridge would be. Now, you said in order to get the mules to go out and dump, which would probably have been lime, because there was a lime quarry down the road, as I understood, lime, charcoal, and iron ore. And you were saying, what were you saying about the bridge, about that key up in there?
Yes, that's where the bridge went, and they had it covered. And somebody asked me once why they covered it, and that's because the mules didn't want to bring the carts up the bridge because it was too high in the air.
Interesting.
So when they closed it in, you couldn't tell how high off the ground he was.
And they didn't have mountain goats back then.
No.
So. Well, we're going to take a look at this furnace, and I will tell you the first thing that you're going to recognize, that cameras don't always give you scale. But as we walk to this, you'll walk along with us and get some dip going, because it's going to be fun. We're going to walk up to it. I'm Paul, by the way. Ricky. And Rick, yeah, you cannot come here without permission, so don't come wandering, because, you know, up here in the mountains of West Virginia, you just don't want to go wandering on property. I'm going to leave it right there. But anyway, we're going to take a look, and we're real happy that we have permission to take a look at this. So as we get closer, it really, the scale of this is just incredible. Absolutely. So, you know, the guns that fought the Revolution, and heck, I've even got I got an old English Fowler musket. But as we get closer, and in the 1740s, it's a good question. A lot of Scots-Irish, or there's a lot of old Scots-Irish names in this part of the mountain, as I had seen. So it'll be interesting. We'll walk up.
I had somebody tell me that the house, the log cabin, is German style.
There you go. Well, and in Spotswood's area, it was the Germans that were learned in iron and mining and all. So that would make a lot of sense. So this would be has been referenced as being of a German-style cabin. Now, one thing they talk about that's interesting is when the doors go in the middle or they go on the side. There's a conversation about some cabins were walk-through, some were side pass-through. There's a whole science. I don't know much about it, but anyway, that's a neat old cabin up there. And let's take a look.
I think they said George Washington probably stayed in that cabin.
Yeah, did you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say he stayed there.
Wow. Well, you can bet if George Washington stayed there's probably about 50 women out here wanting to meet him, because he was tall and handsome, I'm told. But as we get closer, I think you're going to be struck by the scale of this. Good Lord. Here we go.
Oh, gosh.
It's not really that big.
You gotta keep going back.
The short side.
Yeah, this is the short side. Come on down around.
That's the short side.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Wow.
Holy moly.
They didn't do a lot of lollygagging in the 1700s, did they?
No.
Wow, and you've been maintaining this, taking down trees and all? Yeah, that's a lot of work. Yep.
Yeah, I hate to see it just fall to the ground.
So there would have been a sand bed underneath here. They would have rolled out a channel where the iron would have come through, and then it rolled out to these little things called pigs. And then hence the pig irons, because they look like little pigs suckling on a little piglet suckling on a pig. So if you think about how much iron and how much of America's foundation came from this, now that lentil up there, that's actually pretty substantial. That's an old iron lentil. I wonder if that's original. It might be.
It might be.
But 1740 is the date. And, oh, wow. Ain't that something? Yep, lentil up in the back, too. Boy, if this thing came down, you wouldn't be long for this world, would you? Oh, look at that. Now, can I see that real quick? So, just to sort of give you, so you have a fire flue here. Now, one of them was for the flue, but then there was other channels that were for where the oxygen would be blown in. And
Around the corner.
around the corner, there would have been a bellows And there is a creek that comes down here. There's a confluence up about a mile up of two pretty good sized creeks up in Shannondale. And then they come along. I guess they would have routed water, what, through here somewhere?
Yeah, because it used to be a water wheel on the here that ran the bellows.
Good Lord. The scale of this thing is incredible. Yeah, it is, technical term, ginormous. Anyway, let me show you this picture right here. I wanted you to see this because as you look through, oh my Lord, and that's where all the stuff would come in. Have you seen any rattlesnakes and copperheads?
No, but I've seen some skins hanging around.
I bet you have. No one's ever done a dig on this, have they? Wow. Really something. So I'm going to back up a bit, give you a sense.
A long ways to get the scale. Yeah, you have to go way there.
Walk up to that, Sarah, real close.
And then the machines that put them rocks up there.
No, the machine was human ingenuity.
That's right.
Well, and that gives you a sense. Good Lord. I'm still walking back.
If they can talk.
If those stones could talk, they'd say, get them mules and get this furnace going.
That's it.
We got a country to build. So right here is what built this country, and I guess this would be the continuation where the water that was routed away, I would imagine from up in there somewhere in that swale. But who knows, they might have wooden... There it is.
This is where the water would go down through.
There it is, goes back to the Shenandoah. Anyway, Molly Patriot, more history for you so that you don't sit around in ignorance wondering how the heck you got that iPhone. It began here. Anyway.
It certainly did.
Oh, just throw some charcoal and some gasoline in there.
Lordy, you better not fall. That's amazing.
Hey, Motley Patriot, who's ready for some fun and games? Here we go.
Are we going to be able to see this on YouTube?
Yep.
Wow. So you know what's most interesting about this is it comes to a point in the top. So we are on what would have been a flat deck, judging by a lot of the brick here, but not for sure, but this will give you a sense of it. There you go.
How big's the hole?
3 feet. It ain't much.
Really?
Yeah, 3 feet. I'm not going to get too confident up here.
Steer, I think.
It's pretty sound.
Yeah, but there are times when I'm wild and times when I'm cautious. 7 to 1. This is the one. Anyway, here you go. So here you are, folks. Original colonial history.
It's crazy for doing that.
Motley Patriot. First-hand observation of one of the very first iron furnaces out here, west of the Blueridge Mountain. Thanks for the hard work, George W. Appreciate you.
I had 7 or 8 trees up there growing.
Yeah, they're tenacious, aren't they? I know, I have some junk trees.
I wonder if they're last spring, me and a buddy of mine cut them off, cleaned all off.
Mm-hmm. Gosh.
You know, they might have had an iron top on this. Did you see that large piece of flat iron with a round hole on it?
Yeah. I found a couple pieces of there.
Oh yeah, look at that. There's a lot of iron left up here. I'll pay you $20 for that.
Yeah, I don't want nothing even.
Huh?
I don't want nothing even.
Oh no, I accept that. I just figured it was worth the shot.
That is so wild, because that could be from...
You don't blame me for asking, do you?
Yeah.
I wonder when they stopped using this furnace.
What?
I wonder when they stopped using this furnace.
I think it went in and out of service, didn't it? They would use it, and then there would be a conflict, and then they'd use it again.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna fire up the furnace real quick. Yep, don't have a lighter.
Yeah.
All right, down I come.
Okay. That's the hard part.
Just made his day, didn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Going up is easy.
Yeah, coming down is definitely the hard part.
I'm all right with it, but that's
Yeah,
the
we've
part you
been
have to
like
be really
looking
careful
and like excited about this for a while.
with. Good job.
Like just research, all the research and everything on all the colonial furnaces
they
and
do.
stuff.
Plate you put up there to your right, up a little higher, above the shelf.
Oh, yeah. What is that?
I'm guessing it's some kind of a plate that they use to hold the bridge up there. Too.
Oh.
To hold
Lateral
up the bridge.
stability.
Ah.
Yep, actually, you're right. Because then what you could do is you could chain up to it. Or they'd have an iron beam coming out. Wow.
I wonder how many mules it would take to pull that stuff up there. Probably quite a number.
Probably one at a time with a cart. They wouldn't take a whole lot. They would kind of like an old mine cart, wouldn't you think?
Probably.
But there's a formula. It's like by tonnage. I think it's like, what was it? What was it? A ton of charcoal. There's a chart on it what they used, and it's so much amount of charcoal, so much amount of iron, and a certain percentage of lime. And it could either be oyster shells or regular lime or limestone. And the limestone would cause all the impurities to come up out of the iron. And that was the trick to making really good iron, is the limestone. And the reason you had the bellows is that you had to push enough oxygen in there to get that thing to heat enough to melt all the iron ore. And it would have a little slope to it. I imagine it would slope back. Well, no, I guess it would be level. But anyway, and then when it cooled, you could hit that with a hammer and break it right there.
And that's pig iron?
That's pig iron right there. And you see the little pits and all would be impurities. And then when this goes to the blacksmith would reforge this stuff.
Not yet.
I got a piece of pig iron that Grandpa gave me from Spotswood furnace.
There's a piece of
There's a side piece of it.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's heavy. You're stronger than me. Look, I thought it was like a piece of bread or something.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you make cannons out of this. You make wagons out of it. I mean, swords, barrels. This is good iron. So one of the things.
Gate hooks.
There you go, and there's slag. There's your slag.
Yeah.
Right there. That's the stuff that it would separate from the ore.
And it's lighter weight.
Yeah, it's like
You got a lot of glass too.
oh yeah.
That's crazy. This is yeah, this is light.
Yeah, and that's all the impurities that you're getting out of the iron, and that's what the limestone would cause to separate. If you didn't put that in there, another thing they can use is boric acid, like 20 mule borax. That would be one. Oh, they had oyster shells. So they had to truck these things in here. So they were bringing oyster shells from the bay, which means that they would wagon these things up. So that's your limestone. Essentially. But you would throw these in. That's interesting. See that old clam? Wow. So you throw in the iron ore like, where was it?
Right there.
See that piece right there?
This is a piece of
That
iron
would go
ore?
in mixed up with
wow.
charcoal and these shells. That's interesting, because I thought they said there was a lime quarry, but this is easier to just, this is pretty pure right here. And it's easy enough to just pick these up and collect them. Because a lot of times you could also, you know how you turn this into lime mortar? You furnace it.
Oh.
It makes it brittle and it powders up.
And when that powder becomes the basis for making a limestone mortar. The same way. So what it does is, you know what calcifies it? Carbon dioxide. So when you buy like the lime that we're doing our chimney with, when you get that limestone, it's in a bag and it's sealed. But as soon as you expose it to air, it starts to harden from carbon dioxide. So when they fire this, they're burning that off. Now I don't know the chemistry between the iron ore and this. I'm not sure what's being released, but it does separate the two. It probably creates a, it probably impinges the, it separates it to different, probably density based, wouldn't you think? It just causes the heavier stuff to settle more easily.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Much of these out there?
We found a good many of them around, yeah.
And that would have been a response, I guess,
Many
if
of
they
them.
started running out of easy access to limestone. But they'll get it whatever way they can.
Artist drawing of what he gathered it looked like.
I have seen that drawing. Yep, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Now, is that a projection of this one or just a general design
Of this one.
of this one specifically?
That's something else.
And actually, this one's a lot bigger than that, height-wise. If you look at that, but maybe I'm wrong, but no, it's just a scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you see how you've got your taper. So that was called the tunnel head. And down at the bottom, where all that stuff gets hit by the oxygen, is the crucible at the bottom.
And there's the trough he's talking about for the pig iron.
And that would be one of these, right here. That's pretty cool.
Wow. That's interesting.
One of the interesting things, so what really made it good for America was that when they sent ships over here, they would use stones for ballast because these giant wooden ships had to have weight in the bottom so that they wouldn't tip over when the wind blew on the sails. So they would send them over with stone ballasts. But when they came back, this is where all the cobblestones come from all these towns, is all that ballast. You go into Baltimore, you go into these seaports, and they have cobblestone streets. Those were ship ballast. And what would they send back in those ships? These. Because cargo space is a premium.
Yeah, they have cobblestones in Puerto Rico.
Yep. There you go.
In the
Wherever you find cobblestones is in a seaport.
You talked about your limestone and your coal.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a nice thing.
Okay.
I want to turn our house into a museum. That's kind of my goal, Sarah.
That's
And I've already talked to a guy who's done all
That's what it looked like when we got it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
You guys really preserved it. You guys deserve a grant.
Yeah.
for
Has
doing
anybody
that.
written a grant for y'all on this? There's a guy I know that works at Montpelier, and there's money out there everywhere. It's but you know, the political of that stuff sometimes. Can I touch that?
I bet you can't pick it up.
I bet you I can, but I ain't gonna take no liberties.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, but you see how it's kind of bubbly at the top and it's denser at the bottom. You can probably see that in here. See how it's really dense at the bottom? That's all iron.
Wow.
That's all. Listen to that. Hear that?
Solid.
It's solid. And you give that to a blacksmith, or a smithy as they would call them, and a lot of them were black because that was a hard job. You didn't want all the weak white boys in there doing it, except the Irish and the Scots. The tough ones. Yeah, exactly. That's so interesting. Wow.
We was out in Oklahoma one time, and they had a lot of cobblestone houses. Just walls. They built out of.
So I guess they carved those stones then.
I guess. But
yeah, or quarried them. Because a lot, like if you go into, if you look at all the building in Harper's Ferry and all the different, like Cabletown, that Osborne Church, those are quarried stones. They're all pretty and square and all. So those things were all, they all came out of this quarry. That's not. There were a couple of quarries along here too.
Make sure you don't hit the stone and hit the
You know what that is?
Look
at that. Oh, that's a wellhead.
How's your soup?
What do you think? Am I right?
I wasn't sure if that's what it was or something for a meal.
what's that?
Chicken noodle soup.
Oh, let me see.
You thinking milk?
Well, grain.
Oh, let's see. They had, well, I guess they had wooden pumps, so didn't they?
Yeah.
So like an old pump in a well. Let me get that cigarette I left sitting around.